We're gathered here in the centre of London to consider the theme, Extending the Hand of Friendship. And we have a really spectacular panel who are going to talk to us about this theme tonight. We're really glad to welcome our very good friends, City Circle and representatives from West London Synagogue. And we're particularly honoured to have our keynote speaker here tonight, Lady Gilda Levy from the Women's Interfaith Network. It's wonderful to have you, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say later on. And so just at the beginning, I'm just going to hand over to Ben Walker from City Circle so that he can introduce the evening too. Thank you, Ben.
Ramadan Kareem, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's so warming to be able to welcome such a diverse cross-section of our community here in London to celebrate Ramadan with us here tonight. We should also remind ourselves how fortunate we are to live in a society which openly encourages interfaith learning and friendship. For in far too many parts of the world, faith is still used to divide rather than to unite societies. When City Circle was set up 20 years ago, one of our charitable objectives was to increase understanding of the Muslim faith in the UK. An open circle for open minds is the motto, and we encourage people to keep learning into adulthood and to be a platform for people to learn and discuss issues that matter to people in our communities. It's in this spirit that we gather here tonight. Since then, we've branched out to establish several grassroots projects here in London. Most notably, our Saturday schools. These are projects run by volunteers who come to teach every weekend to provide extra tuition in English and maths to some of the young people in London living in underprivileged backgrounds and communities. Being run by volunteers, we've never sought to be one of the biggest or highest profile charities, only to make the biggest impact that we can to the lives of the people who we support. Tonight's theme, as Lucy said, is extending the hand of friendship. We've chosen this year to focus on how as communities we can go beyond merely tolerating others, but to actively welcome and support those who find themselves making a new home in the UK. Because while our government surely has a role both legally and morally to play in helping them, politicians and world leaders don't always have the solutions that matter. Sometimes it's ordinary people working at a grassroots level who have the power to make the biggest impact and provide friendship and support. During this holy month of Ramadan, as Muslims, we're encouraged to focus as much as we can on our spiritual side and our connection with God. And fasting and prayer helps us to do this because it brings us closer together. Firstly, it brings us closer together with God. But it also brings us closer together as people. Yes, fasting is a physical challenge, and it's a test of stamina. But it's also a challenge of the soul, a chance for us to come together and share with others. Because whatever our backgrounds, fasting isn't something that you can buy your way out of, or earn your way out of. It's something that applies to us all equally. And when you give up your food and your drink during the daylight hours, breaking fast together at the end of the day has its own rewards. And you come here tonight to break fast with us, to learn about Islam, to learn about Ramadan, and to learn about Iftar. And we'd like to thank you for doing that. As we say in Arabic, Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you for your kindness. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much. We have a chance now to have a wider discussion, and I think you've got some roving microphones somewhere where we'll be able to take questions from the audience. So while you're thinking about those, perhaps I can just fill in some time while you're thinking about that. I was just wondering if I could ask you a question, Gulwali, because you were talking there about your book, about the story of your journey, and you were saying to him that no one should really have to make that journey, and that's why the community sponsorship scheme is there. But if tonight's theme is friendship, could you tell us a story or two, or say something about what you needed as a refugee in terms of friendship? Because sometimes I think we focus on, food and shelter and the practical things. What does friendship feel like and look like when you're travelling and when you come to a new country?
Sure. I think when I was in the journey, so the people who I met who I was traveling with, we were in the same situation, we were in the same boat actually, but we didn't have to help each other. We chose to help each other, and I think I was grateful for that. But the feeling is such that I was able to go back to Calais after I arrived in the UK many years later. When I met people, they said, "Look, food and water and shelter is the necessity of life. But what is in short supply is giving in respect for human life." So when I was on this journey, I think we were in a desperate situation. We couldn't really trust the smugglers and the traffickers. They were heartless people. And I was in prison in almost every country that I've been to, at the age of 12. Forget being treated as a child, I wasn't being treated as a human being. But the thing that was giving me hope was the friendship in the people. I remember, for example, when I was walking across Turkey, we spent about a week going from one end, from the Iranian side to Istanbul. And I was just physically and mentally not able to continue it. So I had friends, people holding me, and pushing me and urging me to continue to not give up. There were times where I just wanted to give up and just not do anything really. For example, in Calais, I spent a month in Calais. It felt like 3 months, but there were people who said, "Look, there is hope and don't give up." But also, I couldn't really let my mom down because she said to me, "No matter how bad it gets, don't come back." And also, continue on the journey. So, but I think sometimes we don't realize that the friendship is there. Even when I go to the UK, I found it very, very difficult. The asylum process was very dehumanizing. I felt a suspect as a liar, I wasn't treated as a proper human being. Actually, I was treated as a statistic in number and a political tool. And so that's why it's important to have safe and legal routes for people to travel, but also to have a sense of community. I think a sense of belonging is important. Going to school or going to college, meeting up with friends, all those things which are really, really basic things. It has an impact. Befriending me. So I have a teacher, for example, Mrs. Brody. She threw me out of my first school in Bolton, and it's more than 11 years later we're still friends. I call her mom. She's like my second mommy. And so all these little things have an impact, and I think it's important. We should help and support people, especially asylum seekers and refugees, with the small things. I mean, the issues around status and immigration and all those things matters. It's important, but ultimately the things that we can do is to give our time and to help them with their write them a letter, help them to register with the doctor, help them to open a bank account, just take them around and be like, there are a lot of people who live in very isolated conditions in very bad travel accommodation which are not fit for humans. I mean, the border agency inspectors say that 80% of asylum accommodation is not fit for people to live there, but they really need to go out to the world and really, because they're depressed, they're demotivated, they're dehumanized by the system and the process. So it's good to have friends. I think, friendship is really crucial. And especially for me, my wife sometimes tells me I managed to get married a few years ago. All sorts of things happen. But anyway, she said to me, you just trust everybody. I'm like, well, I have no reason not to trust people. And I think building that trust in the journey it's very crucial. Your life depends at some stage. But also, you're in a very vulnerable position as well. People could take advantage of your vulnerability. But it's just like you don't really have other choice other than to trust people and to make friends. Friends, like, I have some of my friends who made the journey with me. Now they're brothers to me. I mean, I traveled to Connecticut in the States last year to meet one of my friends, Hamid, who was on the journey with me to get him engaged. Me and my wife was only his representative from his family service. There was nobody else. So you build that bond and that friendship, that relationship becomes really strong. It goes on. Sorry, that was a long answer.
Thank you. No, not at all. And I just wanted to ask also, Rabbi Helen, you were speaking about the community sponsorship scheme. You're doing that with another synagogue and with the church.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say, because here we all are, we're Christians, Muslims and Jews all together, and that's really important. We often talk in the UK and in London about interfaith dialogue. What's the difference between interfaith dialogue and interfaith friendship?
That's a very good question, and I suppose the short answer is one starts off by saying the nice things, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, we've got X, Y, Z in common. One then gets beyond that, usually food is involved. We were saying for Jews and Muslims in particular, hospitality is important. Then you get to there is this we don't quite agree on, and how do we feel about that? And the thing that I've really valued, Lucy and I are part of an interfaith clergy group in Westminster, is then you get to what I was trying to say when I was talking about Isaiah. Isaiah says, all the ritual in the world is fabulous, but it's no good unless there's ethical action. You have to get together with people of all like community sponsorship.
Thank you. Great. Yes. So do we have any questions from our assembled company here? There must be extraordinary collective wisdom in this church tonight, I think. So please do raise your hand if you would like to ask a question of anybody on the panel. So yes, please, just here at the front. We need to bring you the microphone. And just, you hold it quite close to you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a Buddhist. I'd just like to talk to you and ask what you think about the fact that we're still selling bombs to many countries. And would it not help if we completely stopped this? Then what would happen? People would not have to leave their countries if they did not want to.
Thank you. So you're a Buddhist. That for some people may not have heard at the back, as you introduced yourself as a Buddhist, and you said we and other countries are still selling bombs to each other, and clearly there's a lot of war being fought in the world, and if that weren't the case, then people wouldn't have to make those journeys that both Mohammed and Gulwali have made. So I just wonder if I could ask Gulwali to comment on that.
Thank you for your question. I think, when refugees flees their home because of persecutions and injustice, and then in the UK or in the Western world, we're not very keen to welcome them. When I say we, I mean the government is not very supportive of welcoming. It's, one of the reasons Afghanistan is at war is because of Britain's intervention and involvement, not only Britain, but actually 48 other countries, including the United States. We are always willing, actually the government is willing to go in and fight a war and start a war, but we're not willing to take responsibility for it. Look at Yemen. We're selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, and they're killing. Yemen is one of the poorest nations on earth, and we, rather than helping them in a humanitarian way, we allowed the oppression of Saudi Arabia and other Arab states to actually harm the poor people. So Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, lots of countries, lots of places where refugees are fleeing from, in some ways we have played a part in their problems and their issues. And I think I want really Britain to be, a peacemaking country rather than actually creating wars and contributing to instability and insecurity across the world. And I fear, we spend far too much money on defense and weapons rather than helping and supporting people who are dying from poverty, who are dying from deprivations and other issues, not only across the third world, but even in developing countries. There are millions of children living in the UK in poverty, but we have a lot of money to spend on defense and nuclear weapons and other things rather than helping people home and abroad.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question, please. Do raise your hand if you would like to ask a question, please. Yes, at the back there, please.
Hello. Question for Rabbi Helen. Just interested about your personal experience. And do you see humanity changing for the better, or do you sometimes disturb?
So it's interesting you should say that. Some of you may know that my synagogue is just the other side of Marble Arch. And you may also remember about 2 weeks ago. It's very good for my fitness because I couldn't get there. I had to get the train to Victoria and walk because all the Extinction Rebellion protesters were actually camped out at Marble Arch. And one of the very interesting things, it's a big community mine, was that people were a bit irritated by the inconvenience, but mostly they were touched and impressed and moved, particularly by some of people know how by Greta Thunberg, the young Swedish activist. And so, for instance, one of the things, I think, if I can take a step back, in Judaism we believe every human being has what's called a Yetzer Tov and a Yetzer Hara. It's a good inclination, an inclination towards evil. And the idea is to contain the inclination towards evil and try to boost the good inclination. So, for instance, I believe I saw that you are an eco-church.
Yes.
So we're just starting on the journey to become an eco-synagogue, which means things like thinking about how much meat you eat, thinking about your use of plastic, thinking about climate change. And I think what's really interesting and beautiful, Just as I said, it's the younger generation that want to work with the refugees and asylum seekers. You have to have a panel, it's called a green team. The people I've got for the green team are very much the younger members of the community. So I think we can't be unreal about what I call the Yetzer-Hara, the human inclination towards evil. But also there's lots of, I think, signs of great hope for the future.
I shouldn't really show off from the chair, but just say we've got a gold medal for it.
Yay!
Synagogues and churches, any place of worship really, to look at your policies and procedures, your procurement policy. It did involve us rewiring this church, so sometimes it's quite a significant outlay, but we're really committed to our footprint exactly here, but lots of other places are doing it as well. I just wondered if I could ask Johnson, do you feel optimistic about the future, as the gentleman was asking the Rabbi, or how do you feel about human nature, intrinsically good or intrinsically going towards the other side?
Yeah, I think if I wasn't optimistic, I wouldn't be able to be in the work that I was doing. I don't know how I would keep getting up. Helen said something when she was speaking around young people getting involved, and that a lot of the folks who get involved with the refugee work might not turn up all the time at the synagogue for services. And that's what we've seen at the church, both with our cold weather shelter and now with the refugee program. Our cold weather shelter this past season, we had 90 individual volunteers helping out, plus a group of runners setting up the beds. And only 25 of those actually attend service regularly at the church. So I think what keeps me optimistic is that as faith institutions, we're reclaiming a bit of that community space. We're saying that, especially in this part of London, if not for the institutions, a community isn't just going to form anymore. It's not recognized as much anymore by the structures that be. So if we can provide a little bit of that, if we can provide that through refugee work, through climate action, that leaves me with hope that we can do so much more. And it's a long process, but it's getting there.
I just wanted to add one lovely thing, that people will remember the beast from the east last year when it was so cold and there was a fear that people, the homeless of Westminster, might actually freeze to death. And there were cold weather shelters, but people were very cautious about trusting the authorities. So what happened is our social action coordinator, with our friends from Almanada Mosque, nearest to Grenfell Town, they went around and they picked up the street homeless and took them to the mosque where they had a hot meal and a bed for the night. So working together across the denominations and across faith can be hugely helpful.
And fosters optimism, I guess, and generates a sense that the future can be different from the present. Good. Some other, yes, please. You just have, yes, you. Just behind you, sorry.
Hi, it's great to be here this evening. Thanks for your talks. I'm wondering whether or not any of the panellists would like to comment on the rise in far-right politics, agenda and polarisation of politics, because it seems like we're not really learning from history.
Thank you. Where are you? At the back there? Oh, right, lovely. Brilliant. I was pointing at somebody else, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. That's a really important topic. That's very good. Would anybody in the panel like to comment on the far-right rhetoric and violence that is around at the moment? Please, yes.
I just wanted to pick up on, it relates to the last question, a really important point about how I think the greatest ground for optimism we see through the community sponsorship scheme, undoubtedly, there's a huge thirst for acting as a community, and communities interlinking with each other. But it does need a little bit of structure, and that's the beauty of the scheme, where it says, if you do these things, you can welcome a refugee family. So it's quite formal in one other way. In another sense, it's very informal. It just then says, you go away and do it. And it's a community building exercise par excellence. So how does that relate to the question? I think I'm a bit of a veteran of refugee work, having worked in a number of institutions. And if I have a worry about
how even the struggle for sort of social justice in the refugee world is that sometimes a lot of what it involves is sort of shouting at people and being very angry, and it's protest and it's campaigning. There's obviously a place for that, and there's many reasons to be angry. But it does slightly create the dilemma we have in now, which is that what we mainly do is we shout at each other. And so it's part of the way I think we tackle right-wing extremism is to sort of not to defeat them at their own game, but to play a different game altogether. Just say we're not getting involved in that. What we're going to do is we're going to counter hate with love. And we're just, everywhere where there is a community sponsorship group, I was at a meeting just the other day, right near where the Australians live, and our neighbouring group in Herne Hill. There were 300 people in that group saying, not saying down with the right or something to Brexit. They were saying we're spending our time and our energy on welcoming a refugee family to this country, and that cuts the ground from under the extreme right. So I feel it's sort of dial down the rhetoric, dial up the action.
Would you else like to comment on dial down the rhetoric, dial up the action?
Yeah, I think as Tim mentions, sponsorship, different actions that we can be a part of as institutions and as people help to form those relationships that might otherwise not exist. I remember coming here 5 years ago from Michigan, and relatively speaking, across the US, Michigan is a fairly diverse place, but my area was an enclave of white Dutch American farmers, and we didn't really get much else than that. And when I moved here, I moved close to West London Synagogue, just near Edgware Road, and was exposed to a whole different mode of living, a whole different set of people that I would interact with. And it was eye-opening for me at the time to experience that, something outside of my comfort zone. And it did make me uncomfortable for a while. And it was interesting when I was able to bring some of my family over here for graduation a few years ago to experience that same realization within them, that when you're walking down the street and you see someone who's dressed differently or who looks differently, that if you never come across that in your life, if you never come across someone who's different than you, yes, there are reasons to raise questions, but immediately those questions can be dispelled once you get to know them. So I think when we engage in this work, when we engage in this action, we begin to dispel those questions that get raised so often by folks who might not have the same experience that we have.
Yes, Helen.
So I just wanted to say something about the Nisa Nashim, which is the Jewish Muslim women's group I mentioned before. We have a member of our group who runs a Muslim website, and when people wish her a peaceful Ramadan, and who are also anti-Semitic, she challenges them, and is very brave. I've tried to return a compliment by challenging Islamophobia when I've seen it, and it's a very powerful thing. It's like when a straight person challenges homophobia, or you get the idea. If you have no agenda, and you say, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism are wrong. It's a very powerful message. And I completely agree with you. Not to say angry, not to shout. I have recently engaged on Twitter, and I made myself a promise, only politely. It's very hard, because sometimes Twitter is very tempting. But if you say things with power and passion, but also politely and courteously, as it were, engaging on someone else's behalf is very powerful.
Yeah, I think having allies are really, really important. I think, what I'm very optimistic, but with Trump in the States and with Brexit here, worries me. I think, there are some people, a small minority, they have a green light to insult. They have a mandate to be racist. I think we've got to challenge it, and I think it's very dangerous how the world is moving towards populism and nationalism in Eastern Europe as well as across the world. And I think, there are far too many people who don't speak up, and we need to be able to speak up and challenge social injustice in wrongdoings. And I think, a lot of people who are anti-immigrants and anti-refugees haven't met a refugee, haven't met anyone. It's just the media and right-wing opposition who use fear for their own gains and for electoral getting their votes, and it just doesn't make sense. And our government needs to be responsible. We media needs to use responsible language, and we need to take our moral responsibility as well as our obligation seriously towards one another. I think, there is being kind and being nice doesn't cost anything. If somebody is saying something wrong, we ought to challenge it in a nice way.
I should just say, Mohammed, anytime you'd like to say something else, please just indicate it. We will ask you to comment on any of these topics. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you. Okay, so we had just this lady here, sorry, yes, who I was pointing at the floor. Red. Please. Oh, sorry, just the person behind you. I will have to. My pointing is obviously rubbish. I'm really sorry.
Whilst your discussion's been around homeless and immigrants and refugees, as a British-born Muslim, we are also experiencing a little racism. Post-Brexit, it's unearthed all these racist people. I don't know where they were buried, they just all sort of surfaced. So, I'm in the food business and we try and kill it with kindness and food, but it's so draining. We work with refugees and homeless, and we know that they're being impacted a lot more. But, I grew up not sort of facing racism at all. Now it's like, go back home, home is answer. What do you mean? So I just wanted to ask some of you on the panel, what could we do as individuals to kind of deal with it? It's very draining on a daily basis.
Thank you. Dealing with the draining, and you say exhausting, I think, as well. So would anyone like to comment on that? How to recharge or to keep hope alive, perhaps?
Maybe I should give it a try. I think it's easy to talk about it other than when you're faced with such a situation where people tell you to go back to your home, you're not welcome here, you're not part of us, you're not one of us. It's heartbreaking. And I think, diversity is beautiful, the world belongs to all of us. And the strange thing for me is that Britain was Britain colonized half of the world, and now it doesn't want people to come here. It just doesn't make sense. But anyways, people are not educated. A lot of people who are racist and discriminated are not educated about their own history, unfortunately. And I think, we shouldn't lose hope. I think, we have a saying in Pastor that the literal translation is we eat this life with hope, but we live in this world with hope. I think if we lose hope, there is nothing else left. And I think we should hang on to hope and being, positive about it and trying to educate people and hope that they will change. Because what troubles me the most is that when people have those evil, negative views, even when they have facts in front of them, they still don't change, and that's worrying. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of positive things happening that we don't hear about. We only hear about the negatives. And so, we just need to work more on community cohesion and challenging people about misconceptions and stereotypes when they have strange views about things. We ought to call it out.
And can I just ask a question? Do you have any strategies yourself that you can help us? Because you're saying, it is draining. So how do you keep going yourself?
So I'm a private caterer, so I do it through food. So I distribute food to Christians, Catholics, monks, atheists, whatever you want to call it. So we do it like that. And most of my clientele are Jewish, so we have a separate Jewish sort of kosher kitchen. So yes, I might be British and brown. I happen to be Muslim with Pakistani heritage. But I kind of want people to forget that and look at the kindness that we try and do through the work that we do. I try and encourage the people who work with us to do similar things, but just, it gets draining having to kind of prove yourself that way. There's a quote by a very well-known sort of a charitable guy in Pakistan, Passarlay. He said the biggest religion is humanity. So it's something you say, but I actually believe in it. We try and sort of make sure that people who work in our organisation don't get sort of depressed and just, we feed people regardless of their faith and background, and we just continue to do that. That's what I do, but yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do. Thank you. What's also often said about Londoners, I don't know how many of you are Londoners, but from whatever background we're from, we'll often travel all the way across London to eat with someone who already agrees with us, than have a meal with somebody who lives close to us who we think we won't agree with. So that may or may not chime with you as a kind of Londoner identity, but food, as you were saying, that just occurred to me, food is important, isn't it? Eating together. and perhaps it's going back to something that Tim was saying about where you choose to put your time and energy. Some of it is in challenging the rhetoric, but a lot of it is about just doing the stuff that you think is going to make the world better and building institutions and building relationships. Thank you. Okay, so it's, sorry, the lady next to you first of all, and then we'll have the two of you together. Yes.
Actually, thank you very much. My name is Helen and I work with a lot of refugees, and especially from Afghan around maybe asylum family in Revd, and also I'm from the Muslim Worker House. So I'm sitting next to Lutfi, I'm just translating for him. As the woman to have asked, he wanted to say something about that, and I don't know now.
Yes, of course, yes. Please.
السلام عليكم. أيام قليلة شفنا عن حادثة نيوزيلندا يلي هزت العالم والكيان الإسكاني كلياته. فمن الصعب أن نشوف متطرفين وبدء النهار وإعلان تقريبا على الفيسبوك يفتح لايف يفتح مباشر شوف كمية الحقد والظلم يلي على الإسلام بحيث أنه يفوت على ناس بيعبدوا ربنا بغض النظر عن أي مذهب أو عن أي دين يفوت ويحاول يقتلهم كلياتهم. يعني هو بعتقد أنه هو لا يملك من الإنسانية أي صفة، لا يملك من الرحمة ولا أنه بعتقد أنه بنتمي لأي دين ولا لأي مذهب. شكرا.
شكرا. Lutfi is the brother of Muhammad sitting over there and that interpreter will help. Thank you.
not to see all the hatred regarding Islam in all of the social media, and this hatred that pushed this person to go into the mosque and kill them. He doesn't belong to any humanity or any religion, I expect.
Thank you for that. We're going to take a couple more. Sorry, just at the front here, right at the front. This is lady been waiting. I'm going to take a few together now, just so that we get as many as we can. So could I ask you to be brief, everybody? Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you for this evening. And I myself am from Iran, and coming back to the lady who what she was just saying, when you are confronted with this kind of, let's say, ignorance, because when I say I'm from Iran, people look at me, are you? Yes, I said, what do you expect people from Iran? To have a tail or something else, or, you're not all terrorists. So, it's just like, you have to stick to what you believe, and then, God, we all share faith and we all believe in God, and keep saying, don't be shy about where you're from. I am from where I am. That's my land, that's where I come, that's my heritage. And at the same time, I deliver lots of good things in society here. So be proud of that and keep doing it. And, people are ignorant, that's sad. We have to help them.
Thank you for that, thank you. Yes, and then there's somebody over this side, yes.
Hi, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for the wonderful work that you're doing for refugees. As a former refugee, it warms my heart to see all this support and to see this conversation happening. This is a question to anyone on the panel who'd like to weigh in. How important would you say mental health is in the refugee community, and how important would you say mental health support is for refugees and asylum seekers, and how well are we doing as a society in providing that support? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take the comment over here. Yes, please.
Just a question for the panel. Interfaith organisations are so encouraging individuals and organisations to respond to mission and need, as we've heard tonight. But how can each organisation encourage public prayer and public worship? Because one of the things that's happening is there's a reticence to actually express publicly faith and worship in a public space and to feel whole about doing that. And it's interesting that many people come to church and enjoy a sense of mission and engagement with social justice, but how can we be as bold about our faith?
Thank you. Okay, so we have two topics there. These are our last topics for discussion. So the first one was how important are concerns about mental health, particularly with refugees, and how well are we doing as a society in addressing that. And the second one was exactly as you were saying about if the faith institutions work together on social justice, then how can we be bolder about the prayer aspect and about our faith? So who would like to comment on either of those, please?
I can do the mental health aspects. Thank you for your question. I think when refugees go through the traumas and journeys, we sometimes overlook their mental health status. I still have nightmares. I still wake up sometimes, screaming. The journey has left scars on me, and it has affected me. I mean, I have not seen my mom for the last 12 years. That affects me, and so much has happened. And my brother actually, he's experiencing really bad mental health issues, and he's being supported by the mental health team in Bolton. Unfortunately, there's not enough support available to people, refugees who are experiencing mental health, because the government doesn't have much help in place for people. I mean, it's not even really seen as an issue as well, because more attention is paid to physical health rather than mental health. But also, I think the Home Office policies actually makes it worse, because there are people who are waiting for 10, 15 years for their status. They're living in limbo, and there are people being just basically dehumanized, demoralized, treated inhumanely because of who they are and because where they come from. And so they just certainly do need to do more. In my experience, they have been quite good, because maybe because of where I live and how I have come across the services. But it's very rare that refugees get the support and help they need when it comes to mental health issues and challenges.
Thank you. Tim, you wanted to comment on the faith aspect?
I do, and I do as a person of no faith myself. But the reason I mentioned, and I'll do what I may just through the prison community sponsorship, is that I've observed a little bit of that as well. That what you have is people with very strong faith, often different faiths, coming together around an issue. And because of people like me, they're secular people, a slight shyness to sort of bring religion to the top. We'll keep that a bit low in the mix. And I think that's a pity, and I think where that happens, I wish it didn't. And I hope people of faith feel that people who have no faith don't find it all embarrassing. And I just encouraging signs, I think, on it, just because I think this scheme, I think there are others like it, because obviously one of the ways in which people of no faith sometimes sort of caricature or characterise people of faith is that they are very sort of preachy or faithful. And frankly, we're not going to get people of faith in the door that way. But your social justice mission does. And if you're obviously living those values and you're doing it in a very ecumenical way, you're reaching out to people of no faith, then that does, as it were, buy you the space to have the confidence to live your faith. And I certainly, my observations of lots of community sponsorships have been done either by faith groups acting as the lead with their community around them, or faith communities coming together. And I think that it's had a very strong effect. And I've observed among people who were involved in this movement who are not of faith that it's changed our minds and lifted our perspective on this. So I feel as though the social justice thing it remains an important part of it, but I think it's an important point. I would encourage anybody involved in these activities to certainly not worry about upsetting people like me. If you're faithful, go for it.
That's a good challenge. We're quite faithful. Go for it. Quite faithful, Rabbi Helen.
Yes, you're quite faithful.
Very good.
I think something that works is for each faith, or even those of no faith. If you're grounded, you're safe on your own ground, then it's easy to welcome people from elsewhere. I'm going to give you an example from my synagogue. This January just gone, for Holocaust Memorial Day, we always try to have something that looks at people who suffered. Maybe it's Yazidi, maybe it's Coptic Christians in Egypt, maybe. And what we did this year, in a way this approaches the polarisation question as well. We wanted to honour the White Rose group of anti-Nazi students in Munich in the 30s and early 40s who were incredibly brave. The youngest of them, when she was executed by the Nazis, was 20. So what we did, we had an educational programme intermixed with the service, and we invited Lucy, if I remember correctly, and various other people from our local faith communities, including our friends at High Street Methodist. And they couldn't read the Jewish parts of the service, but they came and they read a prayer, or they read an extract from the White Rose diaries, which are deeply impressive. So impressive, in fact, that Oxford University are in the middle of translating them into English, because the White Rose group in Munich were an example of people who saw a polarised world and said, we're not happy about this. And they were actually quite religious Catholics and Orthodox Christians. And nearly all of them, sadly, were murdered by the Nazis.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a very thoughtful set of questions and a very thoughtful set of responses from our panel. It's arguable that there's never been a more important time to know what friendship is and to reach out in friendship across all different ways that society and others' rhetoric might want to divide us. And so just by being here tonight, this is generating new relationships. It's a creative space, happens to be held in a Christian church, but we are really delighted to have been able to host this discussion tonight.
It's a subject that is incredibly close to my heart. As you heard, I'm first generation. My parents came as refugees. They were escaping Hitler, but unfortunately most of my mother's family didn't. And most of my mother's family ended up in Auschwitz. And I missed out on grandparents, on aunts and uncles and cousins. Nearly 60 members of my mother's family ended up in Auschwitz and Belsen. So for me, growing up in the shadow of the Holocaust was a very life-changing and difficult time. I was born straight after the war, and my early years were spent watching my mother trying to find her family, and then realizing that she would never see them again. So for me, bigotry, hatred, prejudice are huge evils, and they're evils that we have to fight to do to satisfy my problems and to satisfy my longing to do something. I have a very close friend who was an Indian Muslim woman, and soon after 9/11, we were meeting, and we were both lamenting the awful atmosphere. There was a difficult atmosphere in the Muslim community. People were frightened. There were so many theories, conspiracy theories going around. The Jewish community was very worried because, again, there were so many conspiracy theories going around. And also the Sikh community. The Sikh community were having huge problems because Sikh men were being beaten up because they were wearing a turban like Osama bin Laden. And we were talking and saying how difficult it is. And we were saying, how is it that she's a Muslim woman, I'm a Jewish woman, but we get on so well? We have so much in common. And what we had in common was the fact that we were both women. And women can connect on many levels. Immediately when you get a room full of a few women, they will find common things to talk about. They will talk about their children, they'll talk about their husbands, they will talk about their partners, they will talk about their aging parents, and women can connect. So we decided to try and do something. And we thought about bringing women together from all the various communities. And we go from Anglo to Zoroastrian and everything in between. And we thought if we could do that, maybe if we could get women together, maybe we could build bridges and bonds.